With the news that the Gundam Origin is gonna get a Deluxe edition release, it actually got me thinking, what constitutes a Deluxe edition, and are we getting too many? Hello brothers, my name is Daidarius and welcome to me taking a deep dive into Deluxe editions, because clearly I do appreciate them. I have many different kinds of series in Deluxe editions, but it wasn't always like that. Back in the day, we don't even have to go that far, like 5 years. You could count on one hand the amount of Deluxe editions that were out. But then since Dark Horse started doing Berserk, it kind of seems like a lot of the other publishers wanted to follow suit, especially considering the actual hit it ended up becoming. So these days you have Deluxe editions from different publishers like Dark Horse with Berserk, Blade of the Immortal, Hellsing, Trigon, Planet Hess, Mountain of Madness, things like Kodancha with Vinland Saga, Akira, Battle Angel Alita, Clover, Ghost in the Shell, Gundam the Origin soon to come to us, Yenpress with now Ubel Blood and the Old Spice and Wolf, this with Nausicaa, and now Vagabond, even though that Vagabond is not Deluxe edition, it is the definitive edition, but it's same, it's not really that different. But of course it is easy to just see that the landscape is changing and we are getting more and more Deluxe editions. It kind of feels like we are getting spoiled, but also that the market is getting flooded. But why do we actually need Deluxe editions? And of course you can argue we don't really need it. It is really just a money thing, but I don't always agree with that. We gotta get to that later on. But to begin with, there is something special about the Deluxe edition. Most importantly is the size. This big behemoth was the original magazine size that the chapters was released in back in the day. And that also means that the mangas was actually meant to be read in this size, because this is how the public first experience it. But more importantly, at least when they actually drew it physically, this was the paper size that the manga artists drew on. They did not draw on these small image sizes or paper sizes here. They drew on this, and you can also clearly see this difference here. Yes, in these smaller sizes, the art looks, I would say, almost cleaner, because it is a big image becoming smaller. It is much more difficult to see the mistakes, so to speak. But this is the size it was meant to be experienced in. But more than that, it's not just the size, it's also the build quality. One other thing is that it is in hardcover. Yes, you do have things like Vertical's Blame Master Edition that is in paperback, but when we're talking Deluxe edition, we're talking build quality among other things, and hardcover does a lot of things. Most importantly, it is not a glued spine, it is a sewn binding, which means you can actually get an iron here, open up the volume a ton, and for that matter means that the gutter loss is not as severe as it is with paperbacks. So if I had to constitute why we need them, I would say that is one of the things. But also it makes sure that in this digital age, this age where manga has gone a long way since the 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s even, mangas back then is gonna get an opportunity to show us, the readers, what they were actually capable of, because you're getting the bigger trim size. And I think that is a lot better than just only having the small paperbacks to experience old mangas in. Yes, it is not gonna be for every series that is gonna be beneficial, I understand that, but actually getting something like Ashita no Joe in a bigger trim size, I think is more beneficial for that series than it is detrimental. But that's all fine and dandy, that is why they matter. It actually elevates specific series that deserves it. Berserk is one of those that deserves it. Vinland Saga is one of them. Vagabond, even Hellsing, I would argue. But when don't they matter? And I think that is also one of the topics that floats around a lot these days, specifically when we're talking about Gundam the Origin, because in this case I would argue the Deluxe edition does not matter, because to get a Deluxe edition it needs to bring something else, something new to the table. And I'm kind of wondering, what can the Gundam Origin Deluxe Edition bring to the table that Vertical's hardcover releases didn't, besides the bigger trim size? I don't know what it's gonna be, because to many people, me included, this manga release by Vertical is the best manga release ever. No other series has come close to this. Yes, it is a smaller size, but the size is perfect when it comes to reading. The hardcover is one of the best qualities ever. The covers, the printing of it, the paper quality, which is this photo paper, the color pages in here, everything about this is premium. I mean, all of my deluxe editions wished they would be this quality. So again, why have a deluxe edition of what many considers the perfect release of a manga? And I don't have an answer. I mean, for it to actually argue its existence, it has to, one, be the same type of paper, and that means not the paper you actually get in the existing deluxe editions, but the same photo paper in Origin. And also, it needs to bring a lot of extra material. Yes, we have seen that with the Vinland Saga, that more material, extra material can be brought in to actually make it more deluxe, so to speak, but there's already a lot of extra material in here. Bonus interviews, insights into the creators' thought processes, so on and so forth. So again, this is one of the instances where a deluxe edition doesn't make sense. Another thing that goes against the Gundam Origin Deluxe Edition is the look. And sure, this is temporary one. I'm not falling for that again, because I thought that Trigon Deluxe Editions was gonna be this. And we ended up getting this. This is not bad, this is just different. So I'm not saying the Deluxe Edition is gonna look like this, but it does bring up a complaint I see a lot and also have myself, which is the look of the Deluxe Editions, because more often than not, Deluxe Edition does not look deluxe. They look kind of bland, kind of boring. And that's one of the downsides about at least most deluxe editions that we have. The first deluxe editions that most people think about is Berserk and Hellsing from Dark Horse. Yes, we did have other deluxe editions that was released before, but these are the most commonly known ones. And this looks bland as hell. I mean, you have the title, you have the word deluxe edition, you have the author, and then you have this cross, and that is it. And then the spine, kind of the same. There is not much interesting going on. Sure, as a one-off volume, this works, but this is not a one-off volume. It's all the volumes. All three in Hellsing Deluxe Editions looks like this, with just a different number on it. It's not the best look. The same goes for Berserk. Then they tried something else with Blade of the Immortal, because it is based on the omnibuses, and there they at least put the cover of the omnibuses on it, so each volume is different, that this little image right here changes, but that is it. It's still the same kind of boring spines, and that is it. Now with Ubelblad's Deluxe Editions and with Vagabond's Deluxe Editions, at least the covers and also kind of the spines are taking on a more interesting look. But did you know that Kodancha nailed the look of Deluxe Editions way before Berserk did? Not many consider it a Deluxe Edition, but it kinda is. Akira 35th Anniversary Edition is a Deluxe Edition. It is the original print size, it is in hardcover, it is high quality paper, and it made each and every volume unique, kind of like singles. So there's no real downside to it, is there? I mean, I can't really think of it, because the spines alone, and it doesn't matter if you have dust jackets on or off, they look awesome on the shelves. So deluxe editions can look great, and often the complaint is that they look boring on the shelf. Well, you can actually neglect that if you just makes it so. Vinland Saga kind of did that by changing the colors for every other volume, but I hope that with now Yen Press and also this joining the deluxe edition releases, that we get enough competition to show that not only does it need to be in deluxe edition build quality, but can we also please just do some work on the spines? Because yes, I love my deluxe editions, but it also would be nice if they looked awesome on the shelves, since that is where they're gonna be most of the time. Which brings me to my final point. I don't know, I've kind of been all over the place with this subject, but it's also a subject I'm very passionate about, and I really wished that it would evolve more, because the early adapters like Dark Horse with its deluxe editions was just, let's just do it in this format with this design, call it a day, because apparently it sells like hotcake. And now, luckily, it seems like they're doing more with the deluxe edition, kind of putting the deluxe in deluxe editions. But it also constitutes, as my final point to get back to it, a question. Does all series need to be in deluxe editions? Because I'm gonna be frank, on one hand, if all the series that I own came in deluxe edition, I would have bought them in that edition instead of whatever I own them in. But on the other hand, not all series needs to be in deluxe edition. It doesn't need to be in this gigantic size. What I'm actually looking for is two things mainly. One, it needs to be good printing quality, so the paper needs to be good. And two, it needs to be in hardcover. The reason I am enjoying hardcover volumes more than paperbacks is the longevity of it, because hardbacks just last longer. Zone binding instead of glued, so you don't have pages just randomly falling off. And of course, you don't have the cracked spines and covers that might actually end up getting damaged, because I mean, it's paper, it's not hardcovers. Yes, hardcovers are not indestructible, but you get my point. And that's what I like, besides the feel of reading it. And luckily, we have a lot of editions that kind of fits that bill. One of them, of course, is Gundam The Origin, which was the whole reason why I wanted to make this video. But this has other editions like that. One of them is this. And I'm not talking about Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, I'm talking about the hardback ones, because the paper quality is excellent. It's kind of the same as its paperbacks, but also it is in hardcover. It is light, it's not as heavy, it is not as clunky to read, and to me it actually does everything I want a non-deluxe edition to do. And all other mangas would benefit from that type of release, but sometimes you want a bit more of prestige to it. Sometimes you just want something more premium, like this one. It has everything that I want from a deluxe edition that is not deluxe edition. Kinda like Origins. It has the photo paper in here, which means that the printing quality is excellent. It also has a smaller printing size, which is, I think, one of the biggest hurdles with deluxe editions, besides the pricing, because they cost a lot, is the size. If you want to read a deluxe edition, you are kind of forced to either put it on your stomach when you lay down in your couch or in your bed and just get hurt a lot, or do what I often do, which is reading it at a table, which means that it's gonna hurt your back a bit because you're gonna be leaning over the table. But this bad boy, you can read them like a normal paperback, which means you can read them anywhere. That's kind of a big deal of why people often want paperbacks, besides that the spines often look more awesome, is that they want to be able to read it wherever, whenever, without hurting themselves, and those fit the bill. So I would say that deluxe editions, are we getting too many? Not quite yet, but for a series to get a deluxe edition treatment, I think this series itself has to have some kind of deluxe edition quality to it, right? It doesn't just need to be a popular series, it needs to be a great one. But for a series that doesn't have that specific thing, it doesn't have it in it, I think the hardcover but smaller series makes a lot more sense. And then someone could argue that Fist of the North Star shouldn't have gotten a deluxe edition, and for that I agree, but at least the edition we have is beautiful, it is unique, it is hardcover, it is high quality. But that is just me rambling on and on about the Deluxe editions, why we need them, why we kinda don't, and why we need to be careful not to give everything a Deluxe edition treatment. Only give it to those where it makes sense. It doesn't need to be the most incredible art ever to warrant a Deluxe edition, but it needs to have something of significance in it, where the Deluxe edition would just elevate the reading experience. But what do you think? Which series do you think actually warrants a Deluxe edition? And also, do you think we're getting too much Deluxe editions, or are you thinking that the market is just generally heading in a more premium quality manga releases? So this expensive hobby is gonna get a lot more expensive. Whatever you think, comment below and review your thoughts as always. Till see you next video, just remember to stay awesome. See ya.